If you have access to any communications, the government can force you to help it spy. That means anybody with access to a server, a wire, a cable box, a Wi-Fi router, a phone, or a computer. If this provision is enacted, the government can deputize any of these people against their will and force them, in effect, to become what amounts to an agent for Big Brother.
Democratic Senator Ron Wyden spoke out against warrantless government spying of Americans in protest of FISA reauthorization. But unfortunately, over the weekend, President Joe Biden did in fact sign legislation that reauthorizes the warrantless spying of Americans. Now, this comes after former President Donald Trump briefly pressured House Republicans to kill the bill. But just like herpes, the toxic bill came back up and was unfortunately passed by both chambers. Now, the Senate voted to pass the bill, which reauthorizes Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. And this happened on Friday. They passed it 60-34. The House had passed the measure just a week earlier, and the House passed the bill with a minor change that seemed to placate Donald Trump, who doesn't like the warrantless wiretapping of Americans because it negatively impacted him and his 2016 campaign. It was used to spy on Carter Page. He's very salty about that. But the one change in this new version of the reauthorization is that it reauthorizes the spying for 2 years as opposed to 5 years, allowing for Trump to change it should he win the general election. Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is real pleased with himself, considering senators had expected to work throughout the weekend in order to pass the bill, but they managed to get it done by Friday night. Schumer said all day long, we persisted and persisted and persisted in hopes of reaching a breakthrough, and I'm glad we got it done, the New York Democrat said, referencing the stalled negotiations that threatened the program. Senate Minority Leader, unsurprisingly, agreed with him, that's Mitch McConnell, also pressed for the passage of the FISA bill, which he said had a number of changes in it to address past abuses by the FBI. It didn't, it just shortened the amount of time that it will be in effect before it gets reauthorized again. The Kentucky Republican also warned that some critics of the bill were fear-mongering, that the legislation would allow spying on Americans in coffee shops and other places and should be ignored. Except the reality is the law does absolutely allow for the intelligence community to engage in warrantless wiretapping of American citizens. Hundreds of thousands of Americans' information is incidentally collected during the process of collecting, just data on perceived threats to US security, and then accessed each year without a warrant. Critics refer to these queries as backdoor searches. The program is currently warrantless in large part because it is aimed at foreigners, not Americans, but US citizens do get swept up in the surveillance when they are interacting with targets abroad. Now, I don't remember Carter Page interacting with targets abroad when he was wiretapped, okay, without a warrant. But I don't understand why it's such a difficult process for members of the intelligence community to obtain a warrant. Just obtain a warrant. Go before a judge, make your case, get the warrant, and engage in your wiretapping. But I guess that's a little too difficult for them to do, a little too much work for the intelligence community, Cenk.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you. So do I wanna have our government look into foreign sources that we think might be a threat? Of course I do. We don't want to die over here. So if they're going to find out who's going to do a bombing or something terrible, of course they should look into that. But is that all they're doing here? No, there's no question about it. In fact, I believe it was Wyden who tried to put a provision, an amendment into the bill saying, yes, but if you're going to look into Americans, you should get a warrant. And they actively voted it down in the Senate and the House.
Correct.
So no warrants allowed, okay. So now that you're sweeping up all the information of the Americans that aren't even necessarily talking to hostile foreign sources. Remember, They say, they always paint it as everybody's a terrorist, but they're sweeping up millions and millions of people's information. They're all terrorists? No, they're doing a giant dragnet. And it allows them, as the experts say, a backdoor into being able to basically get information, not just phone calls, but internet searches of Americans without warrants, because you might have once talked to or communicated to online, had any interaction. How the hell would you even know that they're foreign online, right? Any interaction, boom, that's it. Good enough excuse to spy on you without a warrant. So, okay, guys, in terms of us telling you guys what's gonna pass and not pass and level of certainty, like for example, was the TikTok ban definitely gonna pass? No, not necessarily. Could have gone a lot of different ways. Was the Ukraine bill definitely gonna pass? No, it got to be a little bit nip and tuck there, but mainly it's a giant gift to defense contractors, so it was very likely, very likely to pass. There was two things that were guaranteed to pass: FISA extension and Israel aid. There was never a question, never. So yeah, we give credit to Trump and the Democrats, the progressives that fought against the FISA renewal, etc., because we don't care where you're from, we care about policy. I know a lot of Democrats go, you can't give Donald Trump credit, even if he's right. You have to lie and pretend that he wasn't right. No, we're not gonna do that. We do honest reporting here. So even as we gave them credit, we told you, I mean, it's temporary. Of course it's gonna pass. This is core uniparty, using national security as an excuse to spy in on all of us, because it's really the elites versus the rest of us.
And they get the cover that I don't even know if they ask for it or if they need it. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, but legacy media comes in and provides cover for it. I just want to show you this, in my opinion, hilarious and ridiculous framing by CNN. The way they describe the two parties, not political parties, but the two parties in regard to the debate about reauthorizing the warrantless wiretapping. Some conservative Republicans have joined forces with progressive Democrats to push for reforms to the authority, while security-focused Democrats and Republicans have opposed major new restrictions. Because you're not security-focused if you demand that members of the intelligence community secure a warrant before a judge prior to spying in on American civilians. You're not security-minded. What a joke.
Yeah, and so sometimes you'll see me, or oftentimes these days, unfortunately, see me say that I don't trust the Israeli government when they put out a press release or about some new terrible bombing that they did that killed civilians, and they're pretending that it was an accident or a mistake or whatever the hell they're pretending. I certainly don't trust other organizations like Hamas either, obviously. Foreign governments like Putin's Russian government, Bashar al-Assad's Syrian government. But there's another government that I don't trust with a blank check. That's American government. So when the American politicians tell me, oh no, this wasn't for the military industrial complex, the elites, etc., and all the different nefarious reasons that we have, it was because we care about national security. No, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. So you haven't earned my trust, because the US has lied about this over and over. How do we even know that it's warrantless wiretapping? Because of Edward Snowden. You think the government ever confessed? They never confessed, right?
Listen, Cenk, I'm old enough to remember when members of the Senate realized that some of the warrantless wiretapping was impacting them.
Yeah.
And the one and only time there was an amendment to this legislation, to the reauthorization, was to ensure that the warrantless wiretapping could not be conducted against members of Congress.
And you know who that was? That was Dianne Feinstein.
Exactly.
And she flipped out over it. Yep. She's like, how dare you? We were doing it to the plebeian, to the masses, the unwashed masses who we all despise here in Washington. You're doing it to us, the elites. And by the way, as part of her obituary, that was one of the two main things cited, like, she stood up against warrantless wiretapping. Nobody put an asterisk, just for senators.
What a joke, what a joke, what a joke.
Yeah, and finally, Schumer's comment there. We worked so hard to spy on Americans. Did you work that hard on paid family leave? It has an 84% approval. Why haven't you you don't even have to work that hard. Just propose it. Humiliate the Republicans when they vote against it. Easiest thing in the whole wide world. The biggest layup. It'll make the Republicans look like they're against American moms.
Tell me again why we need to cheerlead the Democratic Party.
Yeah, you know how hard Schumer's worked on that? Not 1 minute. If it's helping you, it's something that's gonna hurt the Republicans, even help the Democratic cause. Nope, can't find a clue. Schumer can't, you know why? Because there's no donor telling him you must pass paid family leave. But the Uniparty agrees, we all have to be spied on. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.